Okay, students, we just finished part one, and let me review for a second. Of course, on part one, we talked about these bottom keys. Let me zoom in here a little bit. So, yes, we focused in on these keys. Of course, this is your number pad, okay? And then we looked at the operations here, okay? Now, please keep in mind, this is your equal key. That blue entry, that allows you to go back in the past. And here's your answer. We talked about that. That is available to you as well. Now I'm over here to the right side, the on and off, store and recall, lin and edx. Those are for log functions. Here's log. Don't forget, don't get a splinter on that key. All right, then above that's 10 to the x. You could use that as well. And then the last video, I ended up talking about these keys. So your x squared, your square root, the comma, and the left and right parentheses. I gave you some examples on that. Now, what we're going to do for this video is we're going to move up and talk about these keys, and we'll try to get to these 6 keys, your Game Boy keys here, and then I'd like to, depends upon where we are, okay, we'll either get to these keys and this understanding the graphing screen in this video or the next one. Okay, that's enough of talking there. Let me zoom out a little bit and move this up, and let's take a moment and go to this key. This is the e to the x key. So if I turn my calculator on and do 5 and press that key, that's 1 over 5. 1 over 5 is 0.2, correct? How about 10 to the negative 1 power? Remember, it's a negative power, right? So it goes downstairs. So 1 over 10 is 0.1. Is this making sense? Okay. Now, if you need that, that's fine. Now, right above that is the matrix, and I don't know, Dr. Smith may be in the matrix there, Mr. Smith that is, and we don't want to go there. We'd have to make a movie of that, so we won't worry about that. Now, right over here, you're not sinning if you press this key right here, okay? This is a sign key. So these 3 keys are trig keys, not trick, but trig keys. And it is very important that you are aware of those. If you're taking college algebra, you will not probably see these keys, but if you're taking pre-calculus, yes, for sure, you will see those keys. So this is sin, or sine, okay? This is cosine, like, you know, where will people cosine a loan or cosine someone into a football team or whatever. And this one is the gentleman that's been at the beach too long, called a tangent, okay? All right, these 3 are trig functions or trig ratios. Also, notice above there it says sine looks like to the negative 1. That is inverse sine. Inverse cosine, inverse tangent. Now, these are keys that are used in the study of trigonometry. Remember, inverse is not to the negative 1 power. Okay? It's easy to get that confused. Now, this key right here is a very powerful key because it's called the power key. 2, caret key 3. So that is your y to the x, your power key, or your caret. It doesn't matter what you call it. Make sure you know what it does. So 2 cubed is equal to 8. You remember from the last video, your entries are over here, your computations are over here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we'll scoot this down a little bit, and I want to talk for a moment here about this key. This is a menu key that has a lot of very helpful features to your calculator. Let me zoom out just a tad. Alright, so let me take a moment and explain this key. If I click on that, I notice a couple things. First of all, I see fraction. Does that mean that this calculator does fractions? Well, kinda. So here's how I use that. If I want to get out of a screen, I just hit clear. I'm going to hit clear again, and I want to go 0.02, and I want to convert that to a fraction. I hit math. I can either press the number 1 or just enter. and it pastes that feature to the home screen, and sure enough, 1 over 50. Now your calculator may say 1/50, it means the same thing. Alright, so that's math. This one is converting to a decimal. This is cubed. I really do love this. So let me show how you use this. How do I get out of this screen? I hit clear. Clear again. Now I want to do 17 cubed. 17. I could hit the power key here, but I'm going to go over here to math, and I want to select that feature. I'm going to type or press 3 in my calculator, and sure enough, 17 cubed. Now that is really helpful, because you could use that like x cubed. Okay? Isn't that neat? Okay, that looks really cool. Alright, let me get out of that. Now, back to the math. Alright, so let's say I wanted the cubed root of 27. Well, everybody knows the cubed root of 27 is 3. So I would use this feature. Now, how do I use that? Clear. Math. What is that? 4. 4. Cubed root of 27. Enter. Bingo. That can really help. Back to math. You would use the 5 for, you could just put a root before that. That's some calculus situations here. Okay, very good. Now I'm going to go to the right. See me press that key to the right? That's absolute value. That is absolutely helpful. Okay. When I talk about the graphs, I'll show you an example of that. It's talking about complex numbers and everybody's favorite, probability. Maybe it's your favorite, maybe not, probably not. Maybe so. Probably. All right. So I'm going to get out of here by hitting second quit and clear. Alright, now if you notice here to the right, I have apps. Now my calculator has several apps. This is a really neat one right here on finances. There are apps that come with your calculator if it's new. If yours is blank, you could put some in there. That is helpful, and if you're a big science math person, you may enjoy that as well. Now you can't buy them at the App Store, okay? This is just calculator apps made for the graphing calculator. Alright, I'm going to quit out of that. Program. Now, actually, this is really kind of neat. This key allows you to put some programs in your calculator, okay? So you could run that program. Obviously, I had a little problem running that program. Program. Okay, this is a program someone wrote, and I adjusted here. But if this is trigonometry, if you've ever remembered the unit circle, you know, there it is right there. Well, what's very neat about that is I can get out of that, and I could actually go into the program and edit a program, believe it or not. And on your calculator, you could do some programming code. It really is neat. So I know you're maybe not interested as much as I am in that, but I just wanted to show that to you. Okay, you could write programs, you could get programs, you could put it in your calculator. Now this next, you will probably not use that, but you will use the one above that, the draw. Okay. Now over here to the right has to do with your variables. And basically the only time you use this key is if you're going to do the inverse. Draw the inverse. And so let me give you an example. Now I'm going to just jump over here and press some buttons. I'll explain later what I'm doing. I'm going to type in x squared. X is right here. Squared is my squared key. And I'm going to press graph. Okay. Now let's just say I wanted to draw the inverse of that function. The way to do that is, since I had it in y1, I need to draw the inverse of y1. So I go over here to draw, second draw. Okay, I want to go down to draw inverse, and I want to paste that to my home screen and tell the calculator, or ask the calculator, where is that function at? It's in y1. So I hit vars for variable, y bars for y variable, and I hit y1. Now watch this. If I hit enter, it's going to draw the inverse function. Okay, that could be real helpful. So I want to clear that, so I'm going to go draw a clear draw, and it's going to get rid of that. All right. To enter one more time there. All right, so I'm going to hit clear, and clear will get you out of your screen and then clear your home screen. Remember, this is your home screen. Very, very important part of your calculator. Now this brings us to these 6 keys, okay? And I'll talk about these, and then it looks like I'm going to have to do a separate video on the graphing features, which is fine. So this alpha key is if you wanted to type in letters. So notice alpha A. See that? Alpha B. Okay, if I go back to A, it's going to give me that feature. So I don't want to do that. I could go alpha alpha. No, I could go second alpha, and it could lock it for me. And A, okay, till the cows come home, okay? So I'm going to get out of that. Again, I'll hit clear. All right, this key you're familiar with. This is the second key. So if you want to pick a feature of the calculator, you're going to hit this blue key to activate the blue features on your calculator. They're normally above that particular button, and they're printed in blue. Hopefully that makes sense. Now this is a very, very important button. I call this X marks the spot. This particular button is used whenever you want an X. So if I want to press an X, I got an X right there. If I'm in the equation editor, I'll talk about that in a moment, and I'm typing in some function like 2x minus 5. Whenever I want an X, I'm going to press that key. Okay, these other variables are for other types of doing functions on your calculator, or algebraic representations of functions. Okay, so I may point that out to you later, but you're only going to use this. Now right above that is link. This enables you to send and receive programs, and if I turn my calculator this way, the 84 has the little attachments on the top, and the 83 has the attachments on the bottom where you could plug in a little cord. Okay, so that's just a little bit of information there. Now I'm going to go to this button really fast, stat, okay, and this is your equation or your statistical editor, a very, very powerful and important feature of the calculator that you would use in statistics. And right above that is list, and you're going to use list. You're going to use list to help you in organizing strings of data, and you'll use the braces when you make a list. Alright, so I talked about that key. I want to take a moment and talk about this key, and that'll be it for this video. Let me press on mode. On mode, you have you could round your calculator by just picking one of these values, round to 2 places. In trig, there's your radian and degree. And these are the other different types of ways to represent information. Function, that gives you the x. Parametric, polar, and sequence. So don't sweat that. This feature down here at the bottom is very important. This helps you have the graph and a table at the same time on your calculator. I'll talk about that in the next video. Get out of this, you hit clear. And then lastly, the delete and insert key. So let me do this. 4 times 5 times 9 divided by 2 times blah. Okay. Now let's say I wanted to change this 2 to a 5. Well, I could go in there just fine. Okay. Let's say I wanted that 5 to be 51. Well, I could use insert. So second blah, okay, 51. You always want to go to the character, you want to insert a value to the right, go to that character, okay? And then delete is to delete one character at a time. All right, so let me clear that out, and hopefully that gives you some information.